The return of Israel Adesanya is imminent. It's in about 2 months' time, and it's against none other than Nassourdine Imavov, which is a fun fight. And before I get into this video, guys, look, we're going to be breaking down obviously the February 1st card, and I just want to say this. My most viewed video on this channel is me slating Israel Adesanya, tearing him to pieces for the way he handled the whole Dricus Du Plessis situation. It's some of my most popular videos. It's what got me my 1,000 subscribers, and it's what allowed me to really understand how the YouTube algorithm works, and it gave me the passion, you know, it ignited that spark, seeing the reaction to those videos and people enjoying them. And I must admit, I dislike Adesanya in terms of his personality and his gimmicks. However, his last fight against Dricus Du Plessis, in my opinion, is one of the best Israel Adesanyas we've ever seen. Someone who's willing to be in the pocket, someone who's willing to take one to give one, someone who's okay allowing himself to get tired in a fight, put himself in danger in a fight. And it was fun to watch. His stock went up regardless of how he lost. And I think he's a bigger fighter now. He's going to be cutting more weight. And I think with a win over Nassourdine Imavov, he's in a title elimination bout because he's a star. And I think, for example, if Sean Strickland goes out there and beats Dricus, and Israel goes out there and really beats Imavov, that's an option. However, I think realistically, I would like to see Israel fight 2 times. And I must give him credit. He's going down the rankings, which is a massive thing missing in the UFC nowadays. People don't want to fight down, especially they just want to squat on their rankings. Someone very much that I've made a video on recently is Kamaru Usman, who's been doing that. He's not said he's injured. He's not said anything like that. He's been squatting on his ranking, and fair play for Israel Adesanya. This is a tough test. However, I think Adesanya wins. Now, I can see Imavov getting it done. However, I just think as he wins, you know, 5-round main event, non-title fight, leg kicks, jabs, big right hands, takes it slow. I'm going to say Izzy by decision. And I think it would be like 4 rounds to 1. I truly think Israel Adesanya can get this done. I think he's just slicker. I think he's smarter. And also he's been champion. He's been in these big moments. And you have to give him credit for giving someone coming up an opportunity, because this is the biggest opportunity Nassourdine Imavov will probably ever get in his fighting career. You know, the opportunity to fight Israel Adesanya. You know, like that's a big thing in the MMA community. I think if you get offered an Izzy fight, that's massive. Obviously, he's one of probably the second greatest middleweight ever, defending the belt, defending it in rematches. Marvin Vettori twice, Robert Whittaker twice, Jared Cannonier. Obviously lost to Sean Strickland and Dricus lately, but until that point, he'd also beaten Alex Pereira, you know, who's now gone on to do incredible things within the company. So I've got Izzy. I do have Izzy, and I think Izzy will come out looking good. You know, he doesn't have to fight. He fought once last year. He's had some more good quality time off. He would have had about 6 months off by the time we get him in the cage. So I'm very excited to see him back. And I think him not being so active will allow him to have dogfights. You know, when he was fighting 4 times in 11 months, it was that jabby, pitter-pattery decisions where you really don't take too much damage. Maybe your feet swell up a little bit from the leg kicks. However, it was really dull, boring fights to where the point was it's like, fuck, is this all middleweight is now? I think this is a really good way for Izzy to be like, yeah, you guys must have forgot, like, I'm a very, very elite, high-level guy, and I would even love Izzy to do like a trip, maybe try get a takedown, be petty, try submit him, because he got submitted his last time out, and the fact is he doesn't need to do this, and the fact he is still doing it because he wants to compete is very good. It also means he's aware that he won't be able to do this forever, and as long as he's feeling good, I think he's 35, 36 now, he can just keep at it and keep doing it as his pace, do what he wants, and build on his potential from here. And also, he's a competitor, coming from the, same with Alex Pereira, coming from the kickboxing background where you're fighting 30 times a year, you know, potentially, like the Muay Thai guys out in Thailand are fighting 30 times a year, once every 2 weeks, and it's special. It's a great thing, competing, competition, and also if you give yourself that time off, you get that itch again, and I think it's very good. Izzy still wants to do this. I'm actually very happy to see him back, regardless of how I disdain for him and I disagree with a lot of his personality. Having Israel Adesanya fights and having Izzy being active is great for the company. You know, he's a big star. It's really good for the sport having him active. It's the same way with McGregor. If McGregor comes back and fights maybe twice in a year, that's 2 massive months for YouTube and content and the UFC and excitement levels. And if you're fighting 2 times a year, every 4 or 5 months, you know, you'll be in the lead up to a McGregor fight, you know, in the 6 weeks before, you know, so it's good fun. I actually think they should just do Ilya versus McGregor, the only two featherweight champions that obviously never lost the belt, which would be super fun. However, we're going to now talk about Nurmagomedov, Israel Adesanya, and then we're going to move on to the co-main event, which is Michael Venom Page MVP versus Shara Bullet. I love this fight at middleweight. Now, first things first, Michael Venom Page is so boring to watch until something big happens. I don't like how everyone talks about him to be a really exciting guy. When a big moment happens, he's exciting. Up until then, he's not exciting. And I also think this is a good match for Shara Bullet, fighting MVP outside the rankings at middleweight. Shara's had 4 fights in the UFC and a massive knockout win in his last fight, a double spinning back fist. However, MVP's such a ball ache to fight on the feet. I think Shara needs to grab and make it dirty, get him up in the clinch. I mean, I think MVP has a very good chance. And I know Shara's blind in one eye, and striking a guy like MVP with not as much speed, not as much vision as him, and taking big chances is very dangerous. Taking him down is very dangerous. You really have to wait and be patient, and it's a very tricky and very boring fight to fight, you know. Ian Gary did it very well. If you don't knock him out, you have to just do just enough to beat him each round, and Ian Gary did that 29-28 in a really dull fight, which we now know is more down to Michael Venom Page than Ian Gary. Ian Gary wasn't afraid to roll for leg locks, try and make something happen, have fun in the cage, and Shara Bullet needs to come out here. Don't try to take his head off, be patient, have some fun, don't kick his legs, because then he'll just lunge in and deck you. Stand with him, then a fast double leg after MVP throws a leg kick or something, because you can, obviously he stands so side on. A single leg won't often be there. He's been working on his grappling. He's now moving up to 185. He's getting a bit older. No need to make that much of a weight cut. Probably will still be just as fast. However, I think this is a whole thing of... I mean, the lighter weight classes technically and skill-wise are much bigger. Michael Venom Page has a chance to come out here and show, I'm much faster than you, I'm much more dynamic than you, and I'm much looser than you. And it's a very difficult fight. I think it's a very, very winnable fight for MVP. And I think Shara Bullet deserves respect for taking it. MVP's a big name. Shara Bullet will probably get a top 10 guy. Probably maybe a Jared Cannonier, Jack Hermanson, something like that if he beats MVP. Or if not, he might get the loser of Israel Adesanya versus Nurmagomedov, which would be the fun fight. And I would love to see Shara Bullet in fun fights. You know, I don't necessarily think he's going to be a champion. However, I do think there's a lot of potential. I want to see him keep growing as a competitor. He's really fun to watch. Put him in there with some sort of fun fights. You know, Marvin Vettori versus Shara Bullet would be so much fun. Marvin Vettori versus Michael Venom Page would be a lot of fun as well. I think that would be a very good matchup for MVP. I think if you were to chuck him in there against Marvin Vettori, he would probably win. Marvin Vettori is very naturally not athletic, very slow. So I'd really enjoy that fight. But look, Saudi Arabia is looking good. Obviously, main event being Israel Adesanya is massive for them. And I knew they weren't going to put Izzy in Sydney. I don't think Izzy likes fighting in Australia anymore. I don't think it's necessary for him to. Fans don't like him there. And you've got maybe a Volkanovski, something like that, who, if he had a belt, would be the favourite to headline Sydney. However, we have obviously Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland headlining that event, which is nuts. I feel bad for Strickland. And you know, I think they offered Strickland Canada in January or February, whenever the Canada show was originally meant to be. Was it March, April? And he was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. But obviously if you say, oh, you know, we can do Australia, we can do Sydney or Perth, he's like, okay, I won my belt the first time in Australia. It's now time to go back and win the belt again and show the Australians American fighting, you know? And I think it's going to be a fun little evening of fights. And it's a good card. For a fight night, it's a very good card. And I think Izzy being grounded, Izzy being humble, Izzy going out there to have fun and put on a show is the best Izzy we can get. Not the Izzy being very passive. Okay, just do enough to win. Do enough to win the belt. And I think Israel Adesanya is going to be a lot more likeable this time round. And you almost have forgot. And obviously co-main event, that's a really interesting fight. The co-main event with Shara Bullet and MVP is so interesting. It's not high stakes, so you're not going to get that nervous feeling. However, it's just going to be a good fight to see each guy's level, and MVP sort of defending his stake and being like, you know, a top guy in the UFC, and not just a guy that's a Kevin Holland level who can beat Kevin Holland and not do it impressively, just stand and flap his arms and wait. And I would really love to see MVP land a big shot, then get a Muay Thai stance and just do some work in the clinch, do some work to the body. I think that would be so much fun. But he's obviously coming from that kind of fanny, pussy, point fighting style, and it makes for some flashy, cool moments only against lower level competition, because anyone high level MVP's ever tried to fight, maybe not Douglas Lima, however, obviously the second time they fought, it was a split decision win for MVP. Lima's not looked good ever since, and you could say a few things about that. However, I'm looking forward to the fights, guys. February 1st, Saudi Arabia. Very much looking forward to it. I think I'll be in Thailand, which means the time difference is going to be a pain. It might be like the afternoon when the fights are on. Obviously, I'll make a video reacting to them and stuff anyway, as I always do. However, enjoy your evening, guys. Let me know your comments and thoughts on the fights. I've got Israel Adesanya, and at first thought, I kind of want to pick Michael Venom Page. However, I think Shara Bullet might turn up and look like an absolute animal. We'll see though, we'll see. Michael Venom Page, faster at 185, but obviously I'll make a prediction closer to the time. Massively appreciate you guys. I've got a lot of good videos coming out, considering we're now 4 weeks with no UFC, which is depressing. However, I will see you all very soon. The videos might be more spread out, however, don't worry, they will be consistent.